on, guys? I contend to this day that there is one thing that little kids and pets have in common, and that's that they see what's basically unseeable by their grown-up counterparts. I learned over the years not to question when little kid says they see something, for the reason being the reasoning ability. Kids don't know how to reason. Their world is very large, and most everything to them is unknown. So they're more perceptive to things that their grown-up counterparts that reason don't see. Most, anyways. I learned at a young age to keep a lot to myself. I have vague memories of being in my crib, telling my mother, asking her about the other people in the house. And I do remember her saying to me, "You just had a dream. You just imagined it." So for the most part, over the years, I kept things to myself. She told me a story when I was an infant. She had a woman that lived on the hill near our house. Now, she was a widow when I got older. And every time she would bring me into this house, I would scream uncontrollably. This I do not remember, but she told me, and I had no doubt that was true. Over the years, I guess that wore off because my brothers and I, we had no problem going into this house. There was one night we were over there. My mother took us over there because she was visiting her. Now, she had 6 kids. I had 2 brothers, so we're all upstairs playing. And as we're all marching down the hallway to go back downstairs, I was the last in line. I had walked by this one bedroom. I don't remember how old I was, but I looked in the room, and what I saw was a head suspended in midair, just looking at me. The funny thing was, I had no reaction to it. I just looked at it. Okay, it's a head. So proceeded to walk downstairs. Never mentioned it to anybody. Until I was an adult, I told people the story and I got that. Oh, you were just a little kid. You just imagined it. But no, I know what I saw. And this is why I never question what little kids see. I've heard a lot of stories from people that their kids see things like spirits or the other side of the veil. And I never question it because I went through that myself. I think I was about 11 years old. It was one time. Now, at the time, we didn't have any pets. And it was just before sunup, and I was walking through the kitchen. And it wasn't completely dark in the kitchen because the outside light was illuminating the room, although it was dark. And as I'm walking through the kitchen, I see what I thought was this very fuzzy cat on the other side of the room. I'm like, okay. I wasn't really coherent at that time of the morning, but I figure a cat must have got in the house. Well, he starts walking towards me. And as he's getting closer, I'm reaching down to pet it, but proceeded to touch my legs. And I looked, turned the light on, and no cat, nothing. Again, no response. I ignored it and went about my business for the day and never mentioned it. These things happen periodically through my young childhood, but they kind of slowed down after I hit 13 or 14 years old. And there was a lot of things I never mentioned because you always get that. Oh, you just imagined it. You just dreamt it. So I don't question when little kids say things like this. Now, I would talk to certain older relatives in my family over the years, and they all had their paranormal experiences and would relay the stories. Now, you can tell when somebody's elaborating or making something up because every time they tell you the story, it changes. But those relatives who mention these paranormal experiences, the stories stayed consistent. I never doubted it because I've had some experiences myself over the years. So they would tell the stories, and although there were similarities to the different relative stories, they were all very different. This is something I noticed in the Kingdom Hall on those occasions where paranormal experiences were brought up at the meetings or in the study. All the accounts, whether they be in the magazines, whether they be in the comments amongst the Jehovah's Witnesses, were all virtually the same. They were always demons. They were always demon-inspired. And every story you heard was homogenized. It seemed to be like passed around from witness to witness to witness to witness, from hall to hall to hall to hall. And this is when I started questioning it. It's like, these stories are just too homogenized. Now, the one thing, Jehovah's Witnesses have this incredible fear of demons. And yet you hear that it's Jehovah's one true organization on earth. Now, if they had the Almighty's backing, if they had the Almighty's protection, like they claim, why are they so afraid of demons? They're actually terrified of them. And every so often, conversation will come up, and they'll talk about demons. This one was harassed, this happened. Demons control everything on the planet. As soon as you respond, you'll hear the comment, oh, don't give them any attention. That'll lead to demon harassment. And I started thinking about that. It's like we were talking about it. That was giving them attention. As a matter of fact, come to think about it, pretty much every meeting at the Kingdom Hall gave the demons attention. Other than talking about Jehovah, who else are they talking about? They're talking about Satan and the demons. So they're giving them all the attention in the world at every single meeting. I had some experiences while I was a Jehovah's Witness and some prior to that. I have not done a video on this subject because it would bring up too many personal issues and other people in my life, so I've opted not to do a video on it. But I was going through some issues that could have been considered paranormal, and I brought them up to the elders at one point. And the look of fear on their faces was quite noticeable, and yet not a one of them wanted to touch it. They would talk about the homogenized harassments, the demon articles, how Jehovah's Witnesses bring something into their home and they have to get rid of it. But when it comes to something that they don't understand, they do not want to touch it. Matter of fact, the only thing I ever heard was from one elder, you have something in your house. And I'm thinking, I have a lot of things in my house. So getting rid of this one item that I was supposed to look for to find the demons, if demons are unseen, how do you know you got the right object? But they are so terrified of demon harassment. They're terrified of garage sales, and yet they all go to yard sales and buy stuff, supposedly only to bring demons into their house. They're convinced that demons are attached to objects. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Me, myself, I think they're more apt to go after the person and not inanimate objects. But that's the homogenized teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. At this point, I realized whatever I was dealing with, I'm probably best to keep to myself because these people were not equipped to handle it. They could handle homogenized harassments, but when it come down to something that perceived that might be real, they didn't have a clue what to do. Like I said, I've gone through some issues over my life, and I've been very hesitant about doing a video on it. I'll talk about the stuff that happened when I was very young, but after that, I kind of tend to leave it alone. But that was the one thing I noticed about Jehovah's Witnesses and when they're dealing with the paranormal. As opposed to somebody outside the organization, theirs is almost like scripted harassment. From hall to hall, you hear the same stories. That was like the story we've all heard about the Smurf that got up cussing and ran out of the Kingdom Hall, which I thought was quite laughable. And I think over the years, most people thought it was quite laughable because I don't think they tell that story anymore. That was just something I wanted to bring up, guys, because I was thinking about that. Because I noticed little kids do have an imagination, which is why a lot of times they'll be told you just imagined it. But since their worlds and their knowledge is limited and their reasoning ability isn't quite up there with their grown-up counterparts, I have no doubt in my mind that they do tend to see things that the rest of us don't, much like pets. Although the only thing is, pets can't relay what they see. You have to watch them to see. It was obvious to me that Jehovah's Witnesses' fear of demons was all psychosomatic. They only fear what Watchtower pumps into their head. They have an unnatural fear of the world. They have an unnatural fear of people outside the organization. They have an unnatural fear of people that leave the organization, and they have an unnatural fear of demons. Everything has demons, according to them. Everything in your house. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. but they have this pumped into their head. And the thing is, they don't realize just how demonistic and evil Watchtower is with some of their antics. Now, it was about a month, 2 months ago, when Tony Morris was saying that Jehovah's enemies are going to disappear like smoke. And Mike and Kim had brought this up in a recent video, and several other people had brought it up, just how spiritistic that little scene on the end was. But 2 people can play at that game. Now, Watchtower thinks they're sitting pretty with the United Nations, not realizing that the religions that are buddy-buddy with the UN are one day, they are going to be turned on, and they're not realizing it. They think they're sitting pretty. But one of these days, Watchtower is going to disappear like smoke. And just to give a little visual effect, Tony, Watchtower is going to disappear like smoke. Anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by. I will talk to you soon. You guys have a good day.